Hey guys, very rarely do I find a new band that moves me like these guys. Coming up on the show, my favorite new punk band on the planet, Bad Nerves. We get into everything from their early influences of the Ramones and the Buzzcocks to even Slipknot to their relatively new album and the tour and everything in between. If it's good enough for Justin Hawkins of The Darkness and Billie Joe Armstrong of Green Day, it's good enough for me. My favorite new punk band on the planet, Bad Nerves. Welcome back to Spin Magazine's Lip Service. As mentioned, Justin Hawkins of The Darkness and Billie Joe Armstrong of Green Day call them the best new punk band in the world and my favorite new band. And we were just chatting for a little bit ago. Bobby from Bad Nerves, how are you, my brother?
I'm feeling pretty good, yeah. We just come to the end of a 6-week tour in America, so I'm feeling tired, but good.
We're talking drums, which you and I can just have a whole hour podcast. We're both drummers, which is amazing.
Do we want to go down the drum route?
We might have to go down.
Become very niche.
There's an hour podcast about drum pedals. No, we're not going to do that. But
the specific chains used on Iron Cobra pedals.
But we were talking about, just funny enough, and we have so much to get into, the record, the tour, and everything. But we were just talking about drummers and the fact that, the Ramones were a huge inspiration to you. And
for sure.
We were they had like 5 drummers. And I would watch videos of, and I've seen Marky Ramone play on his own, and it's different because you take like a guy out of a band sometimes that is great in that band, and then out of that band it doesn't always work as well.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like drums are so important as well in a band. Like what's that saying? Like you're only as good as your drummer,
right?
And I think, yeah. I mean, I was just saying, like I found with the It's Alive Ramones album, with Tommy playing on it. I felt like the pace and everything was like slightly faster than it should be, but like in a good way.
Which was breakneck, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing. But then on Loco Live was like, it was so fast, and I think that was Marky. And it was so fast that it's like, it's still cool, but you're like, it's mad listening to the difference in the two drummers. But yeah, no, I love drums. All my money that I've ever had, which is not much, got spent on drums.
Well, people don't realize, and again, we don't want to digress and have the Only Drums podcast, but people don't realize that like drums now are so expensive. Like if you get a new DW kit, I mean, if you look at the prices, like for a top of the line kit, it's literally like $8,000. If you get a rolling kit, and neither one of us are, we're both come from that punk rock ethos, so I don't think either one of us would like love to play electronic drums live. But those kits are $12,000 if you get the top of the line.
Crazy. I worked in a drum shop for 20 years.
Incredible.
Maybe 20 years, maybe a bit less than that. Maybe I should say less than that. Let's say 10 years.
Well, you're only 30, so
yeah,
I don't
exactly.
know if you started there when you were 10.
No, yeah, and but I worked in a drum shop for years, from like when I was a teenager, basically, and seeing the prices of things go up, literally just in front, and seeing all the drum shops disappear as well. I mean, the shop I worked for shut down not long ago, and it's hard to compete with the internet,
Yeah, well,
with anything.
The best drum shop in LA just closed down, I think, last week. And so it's really hard. I mean, if you talk about record stores, music stores, aside from a Guitar Center, which you have here, most music shops are doomed.
Yeah, I think, because when you're a small shop, you can't buy in the bulk that allows you to sell it at the prices that the big shops can.
Yeah.
But like, where does that end? I mean, it ends with nobody can have their own little business.
Exactly.
It's pretty scary.
Well, there's so much to get into. I was starting to tell you, but of course, I'd love to save the best for the podcast. I went to see the Hives the other day. Pele was on the show not long ago.
I saw.
And I just missed you.
Yeah.
There's a writer friend of mine, Robert, that said to me, did you saw the Hives? I said, yeah. He said, but did you see Bad Nerves? And I said, you know what? I fucking just missed them, but I'm aware of the band. He's like, you better go back and check them out.
Hell yeah.
I did a deep dive. You became literally my favorite new band out there in the whole world. So
you and
I think we're like Instagram acid. You got to come on the show. So
no, man, thanks so much for having us here. It's so exciting to be here in America on this podcast.
It's amazing.
I mean, we never thought that we weren't even going to be a live band. This is what's so crazy about it. It was just meant to be write a few songs for fun, and it's just turned into this thing.
Yeah, and I want to talk about the history of the band. And tonight you're playing with Nothing But Thieves at Pier 17. By the time this airs, it'll be a couple weeks. But tell me about the tour. How's it going?
Great. Yeah, I mean, we came here on the 3rd of September. We've been here a couple other times before. The first time we came was with Royal Blood in September last year, which was crazy to us. And then we've been here a couple other times since. But on this run, we did about 6 headline shows on the West Coast, which was amazing. We sold out like a bunch of them, and which is just mind blowing. To sort of walk into it. We've sold out bigger venue here than we have in the UK. which is crazy.
Because the relationship with the band in the UK, it's like people love you there, but it's not. They're probably more feverish, I guess, in the States and other places because the UK audiences are jaded in a bit.
They
in
are.
a sense,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I find like the people who like our band in the UK are amazing, you know. And we did our album launch show in London, which sold out, and it was just, you know, awesome, really great vibe. But there's something about like, I can only describe it as like when you're doing support sets, when you're doing them in the UK, people are like, you know, they not all of them, but you get that sense that people aren't that interested if they don't know you.
Yeah.
Whereas here in America and Europe, like people, it doesn't really matter so much if they know you or not. They're sort of up for, seem like they're a bit more open-minded, you know. But so whenever we do supports in the UK, it's like, it's cool, but it's not as cool as anywhere else. But yeah, it's but yeah. So then on this tour, we did the Hives, as you just mentioned, which is just, that band has probably had the single biggest impact on us as a band. You know, not only like obviously we've listened to them for years, but I had never seen them until we played with them. And we toured with them in the UK, so obviously it wasn't on this run. But the first time I saw them, I remember it was at Leeds, and like we played first. It was like, yeah, good set. I felt good, and then we watched them play, and it was like, holy shit!
Yeah.
Like, because I hadn't seen many bands doing like a style of music that's kind of similar to us, and doing it like that. I mean, Pele's like, you know, I saw like snippets of the interview, like him talking about, you know, his top frontmen, you know, throughout history or whatever. Like, but I'd say he's probably my number one.
So it's interesting. He was on the show, and then I saw them play. I had never seen them play before, and I literally went on. I kept talking about it. It was literally one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life.
Exactly. Me too.
I've seen a lot of shows.
Yeah, and it you know, it's funny. Like you learn things from you know, touring with other bands. You pick things up, you know, like. And but for me personally, playing with them and watching Pele, the whole band is obviously amazing. But for me, being a frontman, watching him was like, holy shit! That adds like 50% to the show.
Right.
Like not the singing, not like just the way he is like with the crowd.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like we came up when we first started, we were trying to be like a bit too cool for school. You know, I wouldn't say anything on stage. I just introduced the songs.
Well, you did this famous like stare down with the audience.
Yeah,
too, right?
we still do that now, and and it's quite fun. But like, it's sort of, we were trying to be what we thought we should be, you know, to be in a cool band or whatever the hell that means. But like, you watch like, I saw a couple other bands doing that kind of thing, and it comes across so badly, you know. It comes across like you're a bunch of dickheads. Right. And it was like, do you know, it's a really funny story about this. We played in where was it? It was actually in Manchester, and some people had flown over from Switzerland to come see us play. And we played the gig, and they thought it went pretty well. And this is a couple of years ago, and we were sort of hanging out in the bar next to the venue, and I could feel a couple of people sort of waiting to say hello. You know, said hello. I was like, how's it going? Blah, blah. And they were like, yeah, really loved the album. Really, really great. We listened to it all the time. And I was like, oh yeah, did you enjoy the show? And they were like, no, not really. And I was like, you know, kind of taken aback. I thought, okay. And I was like, please, well, tell me why. And they said, like, you just can't connect with you. And
really?
I thought, the bollocks on these people to say it. That takes some bollocks, because most people just go, yeah, it was great, even if they didn't like it. And that, for me, that was the catalyst for me to start really thinking
how to connect.
Yeah, because I thought doing that whole thing that we were doing was like the cool thing, you know, and actually it's not authentic, you know, and it's not cool, and it didn't feel good, you know. So then, like, yeah, touring with people like Justin from the Darkness, and you know, just these showmen from the late 90s to early 2000s.
Yeah.
That showmanship, you don't see that much anymore.
You really don't.
And after watching them, I just feel like I want to try and do that for my generation of bands a bit, you know, if I can, and find my own way of doing that. But it's hard.
Hey folks, let me take a moment to tell you about my favorite new audio product out there, Sonos. Sonos makes it so easy to fill your home with incredible sound. It's like magic. I just got the new Sonos Ace headphones in black. They're so sleek. Here they are. The first thing you'll notice is just how comfortable these headphones are, even when you wear them for long periods of time. They're lightweight, and the cushioning makes them feel great right away. You'll even see guests wearing them in upcoming episodes. I love using them around the house, while recording, and out on the streets of New York City, listening to music just about all the time. These headphones are Bluetooth enabled and come with 3 buttons. The content key allows you to play, pause, accept calls, and control the volume. Plus, they feature noise cancellation and voice assist. These headphones are exceptionally well done and sound incredible, whether you're listening to your favorite playlist, chatting on a call, watching a movie, or even recording a podcast like this one. They sound particularly fantastic while listening to lip service. The battery life is fantastic, and connecting to the app is a breeze. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on these headphones. Sonos has great gifts for everyone on your list. Visit sonos.com/lips to save 20% on select products. That's sonos.com/lips. But early on, I think because one of the biggest influences on the band is obviously the Ramones. I mean, Joey Ramone never spoke to the audience. If anything, he'd say 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, but he wasn't talking.
No,
right?
well, that's the crazy thing with them. Like, I find like how quickly they go into songs is insane. Like they'll finish. They'll hit the last note, and then you hear Dee Dee, 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, straight back to the next one. And we try to do a similar thing ish, but every time I think we're doing it quickly, I listen to that It's Alive record again. I'm like, we need to go quicker. But then it's like, it's finding that balance of like doing some of them quick and then in other ones talking to the crowd and stuff and, making them feel like, I don't know, making it like you want to connect, as we say. I don't want to have that disconnect that we had before, So yeah, it's a journey.
Any great stories touring with the Hives? Because those guys are great and Pele's great. And
I mean, well, other than the watching them play that first night and being so blown away that it made us, the next night we were 10 times better band.
I'm sure.
Because it's like, I was standing there, my jaw was on the floor. I mean, obviously there's that, but like they are some of the coolest, most real dudes you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
They come in, they sound check for literally about 5 minutes. They're just like bang, 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 yeah, sweet, whatever. And they come on, they play brilliantly. I mean, it's so inspiring to see. But in terms of other stories, I mean,
and what used to be like bands used to haze each other at the end of a tour. They would pour flour on each other. I mean, I don't know if you had any of that shit going on. But.
No, it's like it's funny. Like it's all pretty chilled out. Like we'd been friends forever. It's I think on tour it's quite nice when you have that when you feel like you can just relax. You don't have to talk to everyone all the time. You give each other the space, and then. I don't know. It's been like that with most bands we've toured with, to be honest, like just chilled and relaxed. And it hasn't been too much. I mean, I know with Royal Blood, we had a bit of an incident with a fire extinguisher on the last day of tour, which was pretty funny. And
on stage or off stage?
This was off stage. I think we all, because we toured together a couple of times at this point, we got a bit excitable. We were sober, but we got a bit excitable. And Benji, actually, their drummer, who's a great drummer and a great dude, he actually ended up taking a fire extinguisher to the face, right to both eyeballs.
Oh my God.
We've got it on camera somewhere.
It's got to be dangerous.
Yeah, well, he didn't look like he was having a great time. But that was pretty funny. But generally, it's all quite relaxed, because we don't really like drink or anything like that anymore. I mean, we used to sort of, back in like 2017, 18, when the band was basically just an extended like party, which it kind of isn't now, which is a good thing, because we're taking it more seriously now. But it's quite nice being able to sort of have a bit of a, I don't know, be more chilled out, and just hang out and just chat and just whatever, I don't really miss the partying aspect of it, because I just felt like crap all the time, didn't feel good. But
well, take me back to the beginning, because obviously I want to go through your whole history. You grew up in Essex. What was the scene like when you were growing up? And did you grow up around music a lot? What did your mom and dad do?
I mean, my dad used to drive us to school, and me and my brother, who's just over there doing the camera work.
I didn't know that was your brother.
Yeah, he films all the shows.
We love that.
He's a legend. But no, we used to listen to all sorts in the car. Like, I mean, Bowie was one that we used to listen to. But obviously, when I was younger, it was my parents' music.
Right.
So I was like, I kind of, when I got into high school, I rebelled against it a bit. Meatloaf was another one we listened to in the car. I was like, bat out of hell, I know every word to that. But like, when I got into high school, it was kind of the band Nirvana was actually the band that really got me going with sort of rock music originally.
And Slipknot, which you would never guess.
Yeah, and it was Nirvana, and then it was Slipknot, which was really funny. Like, I don't know what it was with Slipknot. I think it was the aggression of. It was actually their second album that I got into a lot. I listened to that non-stop for about 2 years. Again, I know I remember just like I used to try and do that scream, that Corey Taylor scream, just in my room, just like because I knew all the words. But yeah, those two bands were the bands that I loved, like when I was in high school, and but then the punk stuff, like. I mean, I know for like John and some of the other guys, like John particularly, like Ramones, he got into all that stuff when he was, I think, just about to leave high school sort of thing. It was a bit later on for me, to be honest. I went through this like, metal kind of phase, and I still love some metal now.
What else were you listening to besides Slipknot and Nirvana and the Ramones?
I had quite a big, now or back then?
Oh, back then.
Back then, I mean, I had quite a big Red Hot Chili Peppers phase, actually. Because when I first started playing drums, like they were like, that and Nirvana were the thing. I remember going to my drum teacher and being like, can you like tab out for me? You're right, on the, I don't know if Courtney Love actually wrote that. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I was
they
told.
definitely wrote some stuff together, no question.
But I remember like just listening to the drums, like Dave got playing, just trying to figure it out and like trying to get to my teacher. I was like, can you tab this out for me? And he was just like, it's like, I'm just here to teach you drums for 15 minutes. I don't care enough to do this.
I'm not breaking down a Nirvana song for you.
No, exactly. But yeah, what other stuff did I listen to? I mean, those were like the main ones. I was just obsessed with Slipknot and Nirvana, to be honest with you. I can't if I think of another one, I'll tell you. Like I said, I had a Chili Peppers phase. Those are the main ones, really. What other bands did we listen to, Len? Sixth. Yeah, bloody hell, that's a good one.
All right.
Do you know a band called Sixth?
I don't, actually.
They're like a
British band?
Yeah, like tech kind of tech metal. They had an album called "The Trees Are Dead and Dried Out. Wait for Something Wild." Pulled that out of the memory, but I think that's what it was called.
I would never remember that.
But that was really cool, like really techie. Like them guys are like proper players. Yeah, good one, that Lamb. Sixth. Yeah, well remembered.
And initially this was going to be just a recording project, right? You just wanted to like make a record to press it onto vinyl.
Yeah, this is the thing. Like, we'd done like various bands and stuff, all of us, and me and Will had been on a few projects together. And I was trying to find like, because like I said, the real like punk stuff for me came later. I'd heard bits and bobs, like I heard bits of the Clash and stuff, but I'd never like really gotten into it.
The Buzzcocks, I assume.
But again, not until later on.
Yeah.
So it was like, it wasn't, but basically I had done like a few different projects, and at the time I tried to do like, I was doing like some like electronic stuff, and I'd done the metal thing. I played drums in a metal band, and like, but I hadn't found, honestly, I was on the brink of like thinking maybe this ain't for me, I can play and stuff, but like, don't know, it wasn't feeling that great. And then and
I'm guessing some pop stuff too, right? Early on. Some
like I had like a little funk pop thing going on with my mate, like all sorts. And but it was like I loved the aggression of like metal, heavier music. But I also loved like pop, like really catchy hooks and stuff like that. But I hadn't really discovered that sort of power pop kind of thing, until pretty much Will texted me and he was like, let's do a band. And I was like, yeah, let's do like, Refused, kind of style thing. And he was like, nah, let's not do that. Not because they're not great, because they are great. Right. But he was like, no, I was thinking something more like this. And he sent me a band called Radioactivity, who are like, I'm not very good with my sort of genres, but they're like I guess, lo-fi kind of power poppy garage punk. I should just list all the genres.
Melodic punk.
From where are they from? Denton, Texas, I think they are. They had another band called Marked Men, which are quite sort of a cult band. But he sent me the first Radioactivity album and Jay Reatard's first album, Blood Visions. And I hadn't really ever heard stuff that had that kind of pace. Or I had, but I hadn't like really appreciated it. And I remember he sent that to me, and I was listening to that and thinking, what the fuck is this? This has the aggression and this like cheesy pop, like these, melodies.
And the songs.
Yeah, the songs are brilliant. Yeah. So great. And and then from there, it's like I went back and revisited some of these more famous bands, like the Clash and, and the Ramones, obviously, as well, became a sort of big one. And and then just when that clicked, that you can play that kind of fast, aggressive stuff that gets you, your foot tapping, gets the adrenaline going.
Yeah.
But then you can put like this crazy pop like melody over the top. It was like a light bulb went off. And then from there, we just been writing songs and playing in this band ever since, basically. Haven't done anything else.
When Will came up immediately, was there a chemistry writing-wise with both of you?
Yeah, well, do you know, this is the funny thing. This was the first project where at least, I think I can speak for Will as well. We didn't have any expectations. Excuse me. We every other thing we did was like, you were like, we're going to do a band. It's going to change the world.
like Nirvana.
Yeah. All these like crazy sort of dreams you have and stuff. And but we had got to the point where all that was out the window. We'd been trying for 10 years to be in bands and stuff. So this was just like, let's get together. We'll make an album, just me and you, for a laugh, you know? And I think there's something really liberating about that state of mind, you know, that sort of, you're not doing it for any outcome other than it's just the joy of doing it. And I mean, it sounds pretty cheesy, but like it's that, I feel like that is what enabled us to just blast out these songs. We did like Can't Be Mine, Dream, a whole bunch of stuff off the first album, just thoughtlessly, you know, like, well, not thoughtlessly, but like, you know, just, yeah, I mean, I guess it was thoughtless, you know, we were just sort of, this sounds good, this sounds fun. And yeah, once we had some of those songs, we thought, I think we might have to do this as a band. This sounds so fun. And then you're like, who the hell is going to be able to play this on drums? Because like, I'm a drummer, you know, I've been drumming since I was like 12. And I naively thought, I was like, oh, I'll be able to play this piece of piss.
And sing.
So easy.
Right.
No, not and sing, Jesus Christ. But I mean, just to like write it, you know, and record it. I was like, this will be easy. It's not easy at all. No. You know, like we were talking earlier, those beats, keeping that, like, it's bloody hard. And I was shocked at how hard it was. You know, I would sit there, there's footage of me doing it when we were first writing these songs, trying to do the most basic beat, but at a speed, really difficult.
Because people don't know the band has actually been around about 10 years at this point.
Pretty much. I mean, he sent me the text about starting a band Christmas 2014. So yeah, I mean, it'll be, we've not been an active band since like, you know, I guess maybe 2016. But yeah, you know, it's certainly coming up to 10 years. Are
you familiar with Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hours theory?
I am familiar with that.
So I'm guessing you put in those 10,000 hours at this point, right?
Bloody feels like it. 20,000. Yeah, but I think like, that's what I think really makes a difference. I mean, I feel like with our band, like, you know, I listen back to, we record it every night, you know, because we've got our good friend Mike Curtis who produces and records the albums. He comes and does our sound. So we record, you know, the gigs every night, and I listen to them and hearing the difference in how we sound to, you know, years back, because we're playing so much now. Like that makes you such a better band, you know, when you're just playing non-stop. Because we used to think that a big heavy year of gigging was playing 30 gigs, you know, when we play like 20 plus a month now. It's like, it's nuts. So I think, yeah, I mean, 10,000 hours, it doesn't sound like much. So I think we need to clocked a few more than that.
Literally this year, you're probably playing like 200 gigs, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've done since August last year. By the end of this year, we're going to have done, I mean, don't quote me on this, but somewhere between like 160 and 180-ish, maybe somewhere around there. And, you know, it's just bonkers.
So you guys start writing together and talking about even that first record. I think you recorded at a studio. It was called like Rat Death Studio because you had no money and rats were dying, just left and right in the studio.
It was the rat's house. No, yeah, this was, I want to go back and film some of this because, for like, you know, just to show people.
Yeah.
Because it was basically a farm in Chelmsford in Essex. And this farmer guy had built, you know, these studios, which are basically, you know, yeah, it's like a barn, but because it had like that 2 rooms with a separating wall with like a bit of plastic, which looked like a window, it kind of, you were like, oh, it's a studio. Yeah, and it was like horrible, you know. Like, I mean, it wasn't that bad, but it was like, you know, spiders, cobwebs everywhere, dead rats everywhere, because you're on a farm, you know. Right. So we called it Rat Death Studios because there was just dead rats. There's a bee's nest in there, like in the summer, like you'd have to like dodge the bees to get in there. But like that's where we used to rehearse, you know. And it's it's quite funny. We always say like on this tour, the amount of times I said, oh, we're a long way from Rat Death Studios now, aren't we? You know, because we used to play there. There's footage of us playing, you know, and it's like you can just hear us struggling. You know, I mean, you can hear us struggling now, but really struggling back then. But yeah, no, that was a good time, really. But it's so long ago. You know, you sort of think just how much time you have to put in. How much time everyone has to put in. I mean, Tom, our manager, has been with us pretty much since the start, one of our, you know, best mates. All of us have to sacrifice basically everything, you know, to be able to keep going. And
in a way, you work with a lot of your friends, right?
Well,
I mean, your brother is on the camera. You have 2 Toms that are working with you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Not one, but 2 Toms.
No, we got the American Tom Hopper. We got British Tom Pullen. But no, it's like that has been one of the most important things, really, like working with like Mike, who did first and second album. Like the first album, like he did for, you know, basically nothing, you know, not quite nothing, but pretty much nothing, you know, like, that makes all the difference. I always say to younger people, like, you know, if you're doing a band or something and you've got a friend who don't play an instrument, tell them to learn producing,
Right.
you know, because that is going to be like, not only will it, you know, save you a bit of money and mates rates, but working with your friends, certainly on the creative, on all of it, but on the creative process particularly. I mean, me and Mike on the new record, I slept in his studio for a month. You know, you kind of like, and there aren't beds in there. I took a bed with me. I put a mattress on the floor where you normally record the drums. But, you know, it's like those kind of things, like all these people putting their time in, all of our friends, and, you know, and
we were talking about it
us.
before. Yeah. I mean, when you're in a band early on, I was talking about just touring with Courtney, like literally, you know, the four of us or three of us actually in the band would all sleep in like in the same bed in a Motel 6, and then Courtney would sleep in her own room.
Yeah.
But, you know, walk me through like the economics of being a band, because obviously you're doing this for the love of the music too, right?
Yeah.
So to being like a band like yourselves, this is your second record, you're touring all over. It's hard to get here. Visas are expensive.
Yeah.
Touring is incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
I was watching something last night on Bill Maher. He's talking about there's this new artist blowing up and they got 3 billion streams and they made 11 cents, right? So talk to me about the economics of being in a band like Bad Nerves for yourselves now.
I mean, it's one of those things, you know, like I don't want to sit here and pretend like it's easy, because it ain't easy at all.
Where you were shaving in the studio when I came up.
No, it wasn't. Exactly. You know, it's like you sort of, you put on your sunglasses, you put on your nice coat, but you know, like in reality, it's like you're, you know, it's hard work.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, the thing is, it's like music has been so devalued, you know, to the point, and that's not to say, you know, I've got, you know, I stream music, you know, like, and it's great to be able to, but like the artist, it doesn't get really fuck all. You know, and you sort of think the way it's going, there won't be any music other than like the major label funded kind of projects, you know, and some of them are all right, but you know, a lot of them are crap. So, you know, it's sort of like, it's weird with, as you say, the economics of being a band, because it is very difficult to do. You have to have the will of, like, you have to want to do it above all else, you know, because as you say, it's expensive, you know, touring is expensive. Visas are insanely expensive. So to come to America, you know, it's like, we only managed to come here because our old label, you know, paid for us to come here. There's no way we would have been able to do it otherwise. So yeah, it is difficult. Hotels are expensive. You could sleep in the van, of course, and save some money. But, you know, about 3 of you would have to sleep up sitting up in a chair. And I did that. I did that for years. I did that for literally 10 years in my old band. We were joking about it earlier. Like, all of us did. John used to sleep in vans, you know, and like on people's floors and squats and stuff. Like, we did that whole thing. And I don't think we could do that now, because if you don't have a good night's sleep, if you don't at least get a little bit of sleep, you know, touring for 6 weeks it takes its toll. That's not to say that it's not brilliant. I'm making it sound like it's all doom and gloom. It's the fucking most amazing thing ever. You know, what else are you going to do? Sit at home and watch telly? It's brilliant, but you know, it is hard.
But I remember, like, one of my early bands in New York, I remember driving to Chicago. I think that's probably like a 12-hour drive, and getting to the Metro and playing there. And I said to the guy who was running, you know, the sound, "What time the doors open?" He said 9. I said, "What time are we on?" He said 8:15. I said, "You're putting us on before the venue opens, and we just drove like 12 hours to get here. It's a 24-hour car ride. We're playing before the doors are open. Why would we be doing this, right?"
Absolutely,
and
brilliant.
every band has their Spinal Tap moments. So I'm sure you have a lot of those.
Oh God,
right?
I mean, I think actually, to be honest, being in a band, it is Spinal Tap. There's no like, and the funny thing is, when you see the bands, and I've seen a couple of them, you see the bands who are really like trying to be that thing, that sort of rock star idea thing, and it's like, it's even more Spinal Tap than just being yourself, you know, like, it's kind of it's Spinal Tap every day. If you haven't seen Spinal Tap, I imagine most people have seen Spinal Tap.
Greatest movie ever.
But it is so like shockingly accurate. The conversations about, you know, artwork, the like
getting lost trying to find the stage and everything.
Literally last night, I must have got lost in that venue last night. Like, just every time I went anywhere, I was like, I don't know where I am. You know, you walk into stage, you know, like you said, with your glasses on, you're like trying, you know, doing all this thing, and then you're just bumping into fucking walls. It's mad, but yeah, it is Spinal Tap, 100%.
Early on, did you have to steal like food to survive or anything crazy? Just again, talking about the economics of being in a band.
I mean, like, we don't do this anymore, and I'm not proud that we did do it.
And I'm not reporting you either.
No,
so
we used to like go into you know, service stations where they do like hot dinners, and we noticed somewhere along the way that if you just don't queue up and pay, you can just they give you the food and you just go and sit and eat it.
Right.
We did that. I don't want to say how much we did that, but we did that quite a lot. But And we've got to the point now where we at least we get like, you know, PDs to buy food and stuff. God, don't half sound depressing, doesn't it? Honestly, it's one of those things. I think this is the sacrifice you make. Like, you don't have security financially. It's fucking insane. Like, how we survive, I don't know. But like, the fucking adventure. The adventure is like priceless, you know, it's so great. The like just having a laugh with your mates. It's like when you think about real life, like say you're not in a band. I mean, how often would you go away with your 5 or 6, 7 best mates?
Like vacation.
To all these random places. Like you wouldn't, it's the only, unless you're rich, I don't know, like you just, it's the only thing where you would do that. You know, you might like, and the other thing as well, like when you're with, your friendships become so deep. Because, you know, like in a relationship, like you meet someone and, you know, it all feels great. And then like you get to know each other and it starts to get a lot harder because, you know, when you spend that much time with somebody, you don't just see them at their best. Yeah. You see them at their fucking worst as well. And you find that balance, but it like bonds you in a way that is really hard to explain. Because on the outside of a band, you just, we're going to hang out with your mates today. Like for the most part, you hang out when you're all in a good mood, you know, and you have a good time and whatever that means. But then in the band, it's like I say, you see it all, the highs, the lows, but you're doing it together, you know, and it's like this real like sense of, togetherness, you know, and it's just, it's so great. But yeah.
I would always say it's like being in a marriage without the sex, unless you're Fleetwood Mac.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly
because,
right.
You know, most bands have that dynamic. It's a push and pull. I'm assuming you get along really well with the guys because it's still relatively new.
Of
you
course.
really just wanted to play for 100 people early on.
Yeah, man. I mean, we obviously have we've been touring so much that we, as I said, we have our moments of, you know, we piss each other off a lot, but for the most part, you know, the sort of the good times outweigh the times when because the thing is when you're knackered and you've not slept, you know, you sort of, it don't take much to push someone's buttons, especially when you know exactly where their buttons are. You can just fucking have a bit of that. But yeah, you know, like, but no, you're right. In the early days, I say the early days, the first 8 years of the band, we played to, you know, tiny pubs in London. The Old Blue Last in Camden, we played that all the time. This tiny little stage upstairs. And it's great, you know, that's where you don't just go straight to big stage. I would never have wanted to do that.
But you never really thought you'd be playing Reading, Leeds, and all the festivals. And I'm sure there's festivals that are coming up next year for you. Yeah. That was never something that, even playing in the USA was never something that you thought you'd be doing.
Not in a million years. We thought... we didn't think we'd be, like I said, didn't think we'd even be doing the band. I think this is the weird thing with this project is that it's the first time where people seem to have connected with the music, with the songs. And I feel like just that, if you can get the songs right, then the rest will just carry it. As long as you sort of, you know, play well and, you know, whatever. But it's just, we didn't think we would ever play. We didn't think we'd ever be in America. That is still the biggest mind fuck of everything, to be honest. Like, I've got a funny story about that actually. When just before we went to America for the first time, I was just writing stuff for the second album, and I wanted to do a song. I basically, you know, Liam Lynch, he's got that song United States of Whatever. Yeah. And for some reason, I listened to that week or something, and I heard it years ago, obviously. And I was like, wouldn't it be cool to do a song that's like, where I just say USA and United States of America in however many different ways I can, you know? And that was this idea that I had for this song. So I was doing this song, and without even meaning to, I was like really imagining like, what would this be like in America? Like just visualizing being there, playing this song to an American audience. No plans to go to America. If someone said to me whilst I was doing that, you'll never get there, I'd be like, you're right. But like, I like the idea of this. And then literally after I'd done that song, maybe a month later, Royal Blood called us and said, do you want to come to America? And I was like,
I got a song for you.
I just made a magic potion in a song. Magic is real. I felt like that song made that happen. Yeah. It's like this weird, because I'm from England. Like, I don't believe in basically anything, you know. I do now though. That sort of.
So you manifested it.
Do you know what? I don't know, but it was weird. It was weird because you know, people say when you really like, because we've forgotten the power of our minds, haven't we? Like, you know, that's what everyone sort of says. Like, when you really imagine something and you really believe it to be real, like, I mean, you know, sometimes it becomes real. Yeah. And that was like the first moment in my life, having grown up in England, where I was like, holy shit, did did that have anything to do with it? The cynic in me is going, of course not. But then this other part of me is going, there are things going on that you don't know about. There are powers at play. So that was a pretty wild story. I used to hesitate telling that story because, again, being from England, I thought people were going to think I'm crazy.
It's a great song.
Yeah, thank you,
I'm glad
man.
you did. One of my favorite songs that you do is Baby Drummer, obviously, because we're both
yeah.
drummers.
Yeah.
And the stories behind the songs are always so interesting to me.
Yeah.
And obviously there's a line in the song, why do all the good ones die? Like, what are you referring to there?
Well, that's kind of it referring to, you know, a lot of the greats and the people that I really look up to.
That were drummers or just?
Not just drummers. It was actually, I mean, I've actually, in the second verse of that song, I say, what are the bloody lyrics? I've actually mentioned Joe Strummer.
Oh, yeah.
What was it? Oh, give me a new drummer. Give me a new chord, give me a new strummer, which is also, you know, that was a shout to Joe Strummer, you know, because it's like, you know, where are those people that are kind of anti-establishment, you know, kind of standing up for, you know, the people a bit, you know, that's something that seems to be fucking lost as well for the most part, you know, everyone's so scared to say anything. I mean, you know, we're living in this crazy time where, I don't know. It's just there doesn't seem like there's loads of people standing up for.
Although there's a little bit of a little punk revival, and you know, Emil and the Sniffers, and Idols, obviously.
Idols for sure.
So there are a bunch of bands that are it's kind of bubbling. A lot of them are from Australia too, right?
It feels like I can think of like 2 or 3. Maybe I don't know enough bands, but I feel like I don't know. I just all the people that I really loved, you know, they're all dead, and it's hard for me in this current era because. There are a few people I really like. Jeff Burke, obviously from Radioactivity, I love. I think he's an amazing songwriter. But there's not loads of current bands that I really, really love, you know, and that concerns me.
Yeah.
Because I think, you know, like I said, I can only really think of right now, Jeff Burke's the only one I can think of who's alive. And that's kind of what that song was about. It was kind of tongue in cheek, like, where are the next Joe Strummer? Where's the next, like, the people who, you know, in 20 years' time, we're going to be like, fucking hell, they wrote amazing songs. They, you know, stood up for something, you know, like, I don't know. It's, it concerns me. But again, I'm very sort of like, I don't listen to enough music. I mean, John in our band, he seems to know every band on the planet. I'm hoping it's just because I ain't heard enough music. But like I said, there's not loads of stuff that I really feel like I can get behind. So, I agree. I don't know, that's what it's about. Really.
When someone like Billie Joe comes out and says Bad Nerves is the best new band, or Justin Hawkins for that matter, like, it's got to make you feel great. I'm sure you were a fan of Green Day growing up.
I mean, it's mad. You know, it's like it's just these things keep happening where we have to pinch ourselves, you know. But it is kind of that. It validates it in a way, like, not that you're seeking validation. That's, you know, we never were seeking validation, and I like to think we're still not. But then when you get validation from some of these people, you sort of think, wow, you know, maybe these songs are good. You know, like, I mean, we like them. I don't know. It's pretty nuts getting those kind of endorsements from as you say, from people like, I mean, Basket Case is such a brilliant, that's one of the best songs ever. I remember just being obsessed with that song, because it was in my head for years when I was younger, you know, like, but I think they got so many great songs.
I think in a way he probably feels like you guys could be carrying the flag, because you have great songs, and there's that combination of song, you know, punk meets pop meets melodic pop, right?
I mean, who knows? I mean, it's not for me to say. I mean, I just want to make stuff that I like and other people enjoy. I feel like that is like an added bonus, you know. It's don't get me wrong, it's really exciting when people say they like your songs, you know, because I know how I feel when I listen to music that I love and how it makes me feel. And the thought of people having that with stuff that we've made, you know, I mean, that's fucking cool. But, you know, I do it because it makes me feel good, you know. I feel it satisfies your soul, you know, like, and I've worked, you know, a lot of 9-5 jobs and stuff, you know, and had a bit of money from those jobs, a bit more security. It was fucking shit. Yeah. It was crap.
Even in the drum shop, even when you worked in the drum shop.
Yeah, I mean, the drum shop was, don't get me wrong, the drum shop was great, but the thing is, once you get past like the sort of fun of playing with the drums, you're working in a shop. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with working in a shop, don't get me wrong, but it's like, it doesn't satisfy, it didn't satisfy me in the same way, you know. It was great with being around drums all the time, though, but like, I don't know. There's just a satisfaction in creating stuff, you know. Like, but I used to, you know, Monday, Friday, I'd work at the drum shop, and I'd spend all day thinking about songwriting. Yeah. And then I'd get home and you'd be exhausted by the end of the day, you know. You get guys coming in just smacking drums all day. But like it's finding that time, isn't it, to sort of making time for those things that really make you feel good.
Yeah.
I think is really, really important, you know, because certainly for me with songwriting and stuff, like if I hadn't have put the time in trying to do it, even when I had, was busy all day, every day, like I still found the time to gradually make little steps forward. And and then when I found all this punk stuff, it just was like, okay, let's write this. And here we are.
Yeah, I guess there's hope for rock and roll when you see how big the Oasis reunion is.
I know.
Are you excited about the Oasis reunion?
I mean, like, I wouldn't say I'm like super excited. The thing is, I've never been like a huge Oasis fan. I think they've got some brilliant songs. But I really love the documentary that they did.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm excited, to see if it feels like they were one of the last bands before social media, and the documentary, talks about that very clearly. They were one of those last bands to really blow up on that scale, and they had that attitude of like, fuck you, which is, and they were mainstream. You don't get many like fuck yous from the mainstream bands anymore, because it's like if you do a fuck you, it's like, your career's over, which is insane. Right. Just because you say fuck you, like come on, stupid. But I don't know. It's I forgot. I lost my train of thought, to be honest with you.
Well, just if you were excited about the
fuck
reunion.
you. Oh yeah, Oasis.
But you're right. They're one of the last bands that would just say fuck you to the authorities.
They had an attitude, and whether you like them or not, like it's that they had a bit of an attitude, and I don't want to like romanticize the whole like being a dickhead is cool thing.
Yeah.
But like the thing with them, it did feel like it was kind of authentic. I didn't get the authentic to a point. Anyway, they were definitely obviously playing the rock star thing, but it felt reasonably authentic.
Yeah.
But I think so I guess I'm excited. I'm excited at the prospect of them going at it again. Because they're a band. I feel like I'm excited for any band to be playing. Especially as they get older, to come back and fucking do it again. I mean, it's great, really. But although I ain't going to pay that much money to go and see any band, that part I find a little bit insane, because it's.
I was talking to Tom, your manager. I was at the last gig that Jane's Addiction did before they had the fight on stage.
I saw the fight.
Yeah, so I was on stage with them literally the night before it happened.
Oh, no.
And I knew that there was something going on. So maybe that will happen with Oasis. I guess we never know, right?
Well, social media would love it if it did. Yeah. That's what we do, and that's what we like in society. Yeah. We like to see pain and misery. We don't want to see anyone having a good time.
But in a sense, we're missing like the danger element. I always talk about this, right? But the danger element from rock and roll, Oasis, Guns N' Roses, a lot of the bands we spoke about.
Yeah.
The punk thing was always like you said, a fuck you to the authorities, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's missing?
I mean, as you said, there are bands that are, being outspoken, like not loads of them, but I think the problem is everything is everyone's so fearful now, myself included. I mean, we've got a few songs that touch on some stuff where people ask me, what did you mean by that? I'm like, right. I don't know if I should say, but it's like, that's the problem, because everyone's kind of living in fear. I feel like if that doesn't really create a nice environment for sort of hope and standing up to, because some of the shit that's going on in the world is fucked up, you know?
Yeah.
And the problem is because you don't really know what's going on. You only really know what's morally right. And I like to think that 99% of humans have the similar moral compass, about what's wrong and right. But because we don't really truly know what's happening, that also, even if you've got the bollocks to say something, you actually don't know whether you've been misinformed anyway. So it's like, I feel like this is what I think about this subject, but then I got this information from this place. Is the algorithm just showing me what I already think? I mean, blah, blah, like, how the fuck do you even figure out what's real in order to say it?
Yeah, I mean, I was watching something on TikTok the other day. I saw like a giant owl. I said, wow, that owl is like bigger than a person. Yeah. And then I kept reading the comments, it's AI. So we don't even know what the fuck is real, what's real and what's not real.
But the AI, the AI stuff is crazy, isn't it? Because it moves, like it grows exponentially.
Yeah.
And like with all things in our society, you only get regulation after loads of fucked up stuff's happened. Yeah. Like it has to go really badly wrong for them to, regulate things. But with like AI, by the time it's gone badly wrong enough, the AI will literally have control of everything.
Totally.
I mean, that's just me being a nut job. But, but as you say, you can see you don't know what's real. You don't know what's real anymore.
But safe to say with Bad Nerves, we probably won't hear like backing tracks that aren't really there or AI using the music, because that's what I love about the music with you.
Yeah, man. No, I think like, I mean, we've toured with some bands who have, you know, got these amazing shows, and it's its own thing. You know, it's like, it's brilliant. And
until it stops working.
Well, there is that. That's one thing we've sort of said. We don't want to get to a point where if the laptop dies, we can't play a gig. Right, you know, that's for us anyway. That's a no-go zone. Like, we don't have any backing tracks or anything like that at the moment. And we've talked about like we've got a couple of songs on the new record where like we literally can't do it. We can't replicate. We don't want to replicate exactly the same way. It's a different thing, studio to live. But there are little elements where we're like, maybe we should like get a SPDS and trigger a couple of these extra sounds, like some weird little sounds in some places. Like, we discussed that, and that's something we still talk about. But I think we quite like, as you say, that we're, I don't want to say keeping it real, because I don't want to accuse anybody who's doing this bigger show of not keeping it real, because that's just stupid. But like, we're keeping it more raw, you know, to just what we're playing. And it's one of those things, if you're going to play like huge stadiums, you know, if you want that big, thick wall of sound with all these sort of other elements, it's impressive, you know, and I think power to you if you want to do that and you can figure out how to do it. But for us, I think, I don't know, it depends what the third album sounds like, but we're kind of just a band of instruments, you know, at the core. All the bands we love are that, you know.
And my issue is there's like a band playing the Sphere coming up. I won't name the band, but you'll see videos of, you know, singing coming out, and they're nowhere near the mic.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you might as well listen to the record. I
know, and that's the thing, like, we work pretty damn hard on our like backing vocals and stuff. And, you know, we listen to it back and we're trying to check like how it sounds, you know, like, because George is like, but I'm like the only like, well, George is a singer as well, but like I'm sort of the main singer, if you like, and the other guys aren't necessarily singers by trade. They're sort of, you know, guitarists, you know, but they do a fucking amazing job, and they try really hard, you know, and it's sounding so great. But then like, just the thought of just putting that on a backing track, what is that about?
Yeah,
I mean,
crazy.
I do.
Well, the lead vocals are crazy.
I mean, it's, you know, trying to nail the vocals, like, it's a challenge, you know, and I want to cut, like, sometimes if I fuck it up, I come on stage and I go, right, how do I make sure I don't, like, literally last night for USA, hard song to sing. It doesn't sound hard, but it's quite high. And I went down in the crowd, which I hadn't done for a little while. And I went down there and I was like, yeah, come on, let's do this. Rah, 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 shouting all this stuff. They kicked in the song. It came in. I blow my voice out shouting. And I was like, fuck. Like, you know, get away with it. But it's like, you know, you learn all these things, and it's like, that's how you get better. Yeah. I feel like if you have a backing track, you're going to get lazy.
No question.
Not everyone, but I feel like I probably would, because they'd be like, well, if I fuck that up, I just let the speakers do it.
Right.
You know, sort of like, I don't know, it gets to that point. How are you going to improve if you let the computer take over? I don't know. It's
scary.
It's weird. And the computer's perfect, isn't it? You know, the beauty of like live music is you're not perfect. You know, and that's where you can fuck it up in the studio, because you make everything so like good that it doesn't sound real anymore.
Yeah.
And like, you know, that's the thing with the punk stuff, which really clicked for me. You know, I came from metal where everything was like really recorded perfectly, like, you know, when I had my big metal phase. And that is brilliant in its own thing. But when you hear like people playing like how humans sound, and you connect with that, you're like, holy fuck.
That's what it's all about.
It has a spirit that none of this other shit has. You know, like just real people. Like you can't beat that.
No, I think the thing that sold me on the band, and I watched the video of Baby Drummer, the live in the studio version that you did. I don't know if you recorded other songs from that session.
No, just that one.
But
actually,
I would say for everyone to go watch that, you'll know what Bad Nerves is about. And it's one of the greatest things. I sent it to Marissa, who works with me on the show. I sent it to a ton of people. I'm like, listen to this band. It's incredible.
Thanks, man. I appreciate
that. Was the thing when I saw that. I'm like, this is what it's all about, right?
Yeah, ultimately. Man. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's good fun, you know. And it's taken us a long time to get to the point where, well, for me personally, to get to the point where I can sing the songs. I mean, I used to sing the first two and then I'd scream the rest because I couldn't do it. You know, it's taken a long time, but we appreciate appreciate the support.
Yeah.
Appreciate you having us here.
Yeah.
in
Have you
America.
have you started work on the third record? Because you just started working with Stone Gossard, or you might be. Funny enough, I'll tell you a weird connection.
Yeah.
There was someone that used to work with me for many years as my assistant, and she's married to Stone Gossard.
Oh,
So Vivian, shout out to Vivian.
Vivian.
And so yeah, did you meet Stone? How did you meet him? How did that
Yeah.
come out? Because I think you're signing now to his label.
Yeah, we just signed to Loose Groove just a few weeks ago. I mean, the story of this band, in terms of like the labels and the things that have happened, you know, it is Spinal Tap. Again, it's crazy. You know, the first record label absolutely fucked us. We won't go into that now because it's too complicated.
As it can happen when you're a new band,
Oh, mate.
especially in this day.
I mean,
and age,
we must have had I don't know, 30 million plays from 2020 to like last year or whatever, and we didn't get a penny for any of it.
Wow.
That's just on Spotify. We didn't get anything, and like when you're trying to fund a band,
Well, that's how you live.
yeah, exactly. And it was not much money. I mean, you're talking like, you know, hardly anything
Yeah.
for what it is. You know, you think about somebody spinning a vinyl fucking a million times. I mean, you know, like you don't get much money for it anyway, but that was all taken from us illegally. And we had to chase it through the fucking courts and like, you know, which is very expensive, which we had times where we just couldn't do it. We just had to sit and just let someone take all our money.
Wow.
It was a nightmare. Anyway, what was the question?
So just talking about the new deal with Stone
Oh,
Gossard,
yeah, that
because
was it.
obviously that's not going to
Look at
happen
me
now.
straight into the yeah.
Well, Stone's an artist, right? So at the end of the day,
Yeah.
you know, you and I both play music, so you know, hopefully artists take
Yeah.
care of each other and they look out
Well,
for
this
each
is
other.
this is what
That's-
we're excited about, is that the stuff with Stone and Reagan, them guys, like we've met them, they've come to the shows, they're in bands, they've been in bands, they still are in bands. You know, we played with Reagan's band the other day called The Stallion, Madame Lou's in Seattle. But them guys, you know, they're it feels very much like they are what we are, you know, like just people in bands, you know, that love music.
So how did that happen? Did he come see you play? Did he
think-
hear the first two records?
I'm trying to think. As far as I'm aware, they heard of the. I don't know how they heard of the band, but they heard of the band a little while ago. Like mid 2023 or late or early 2023, and we were in talks with them then. But we ended up signing with a different label in the end, and. I mean, I won't go into the whole story of it. Long story short, we come out of that label recently, went with them guys, and Stone and Reagan came to see us at Madame Lou's the first time we played there, and they just love music, you know, and I think they really like the band's songs, you know. And I went to meet Stone actually when they were over in UK and playing some Pearl Jam shows. And actually, the show got cancelled in the end, I think. But I went to go and meet him in his hotel, and just me and him just sat talking about songwriting for like 3 hours straight.
Amazing.
It was the quickest 3 hours of my life. Like it went so quick. Here's me
It's like
thinking,
this podcast.
yeah, we did. There you go. When you're having a good time. But no, he is like. I mean, I can't say. I mean, I don't know him super well, but from the interactions I've had with him, he seems super genuine. You know, we saw Pearl Jam at Ohana the other day. Saw him play, and they were absolutely amazing.
Well, you played there too.
Yeah, we played. We opened the Tiki stage.
Yeah. So have you started working on this record yet with them or no?
So, I mean, there's a couple of songs floating around that will probably go on the record, but to be honest, the writing hasn't even started. We haven't even been home. Haven't been home at all. I mean, I was hoping,
You don't write on the road at all.
I mean, I might get to the point where I don't have a choice. Things for me are like writing is real. Like I love playing and stuff, but writing is the bit that I really love. You know, I like to just be, well, not necessarily be alone, but be alone or be with Will or whoever else. Like, but when I'm on my own and I'm sort of making like, it is like all your problems disappear. You know, it's like they call it like the zone or whatever. It can be anything. Something that when you're doing something you love,
It's not a job.
yeah, well, because you're present in the moment, aren't you? You're not thinking like, oh no, my phone bill's gone over. I've spent too much data in America looking at stupid dog videos. You know, you don't think about anything like that.
Right.
You're just there thinking about the song, and it's the most liberating feeling ever. I mean, I guess that's why, you know, people talk so much about meditation, because if you can block out your mind, you feel good because you're in the moment. You're not thinking about shit that happened in the past, and you're not thinking about shit that might happen in the future. You know, that's what it's like when you're focusing on something you love. It's like a meditation.
Yeah.
You know, you just...
Especially when you're on stage, it's that meditative
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
I mean,
Unless you're having a terrible gig, in which case...
then you're overthinking it.
Yeah, but for the most part, actually, we don't really... we haven't had a terrible one for a while. I think we just, you know, before the whole lockdown thing happened, we had a gig at the beginning of 2020, and it was in France, at a place called Angoulême? No, whatever, someplace in France. And we were like kind of a bit miserable, like just being a bit lazy, you know, probably because we'd been pissed or something. I don't know. But like we didn't appreciate it. And then literally a week later,
World shuts
we were
down.
18 months shut down. And we were like, we might never play again.
Yeah.
You know, and
It was scary.
It was.
It was
To
scary.
pick your band back up after 18 months, like hard work. But
Yeah.
so we just tried to try to have a good time. Even if we play in shit, like we make mistakes every gig, obviously.
Yeah.
And we come on stage and we're like, what happened there? We're like, don't know. We're like, yeah, whatever.
That's what makes it great, though.
Yeah, man. And I think I used to beat myself up about making mistakes live, and it ruined the experience for me. Now, I'd say to anyone, especially young people, like, fuck it, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it at all. Just have a laugh, you know, because anybody that's watching you looking for some perfect sound, they're not the kind of people you want to be a fancy band anyway. You know, you just got to have a good time. And I think if you look like you're having a good time, even if you're messing it all up, it's fine. That translates much better.
Yeah, the amount of times the Ramones would start songs and then have to stop them again and start them.
I mean, I walked on the stage not long ago, opening track, you know, we're trying to do a little bit of a cool thing when we first walk on. Yeah, a little before the jokes come out. You walk on, I don't know what happened. I stepped on my mic stand, it smacked me in the face, the mic fell on the floor, and I had to stop the song. I was like, sorry, everyone.
Here we go again.
Like the least cool start to the set ever.
Yeah, that's what makes it amazing.
Yeah, man. It's just real, isn't it? You know?
Yeah. But we do these really fun things at the end of the show. I wanted to ask you if you could form a supergroup with any other members of any other bands. Could be living or dead. Who would be in the band?
Oh, it's a good question. You know, recently, because like I said to you earlier, I recently read Patti Smith's Just Kids book, which I thought was amazing. And I found that really inspiring to hear about her struggle with Robert Mapplethorpe, or like her sort of, you know, muse, as she called it. So I'll stick her in there.
Is she on vocals?
I'm not sure. That's what I'm trying to think.
Vocals,
well, I don't know. Maybe I'll go on drums.
Okay.
I always like the idea of playing guitar and doing backing vocals, actually.
All right, Patti Smith's on vocals.
Yeah, stick
You're
her
on
vocals.
drums.
I'm on drums. I mean, I'm trying to think of ones that aren't really obvious, but I mean, no, yeah, I'm on drums. Oh, I'm thinking, what are you going to do? You've got to have Pele in there. I know he's still living. Did you say dead? Or
Yeah, it could be
anyone?
living or dead, but it could be a double vocal kind of thing, right?
You know, okay, let's have two vocals. We'll have him in there. I mean,
we got Pele and Patti Smith, which is
bit of a weird
thing.
weird
Right?
combo.
Right. Okay,
Let's stick.
You're on drums.
Let's stick Joe Strummer in there, I think, as well.
Yeah,
on guitar. Actually, you know what? Maybe it's difficult, isn't it? Dee Dee on bass.
Yeah,
It's going to be an all-star lineup, all the classics.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be naming anyone you ain't heard of, but Stiv Bators would have been a good on the front as well. But he moves like nothing else. You know that footage of him at CBGB's.
Yeah.
He moves like that mic stand. Every time I get on stage, I'm like, I'm going to do Stiv Bators.
Yeah.
Like, I get up there and I'm like, I ain't got the balls for that shit. Just the franticness of how he moves.
Are we missing a guitar player or bass player?
Yeah, but I think we're missing bass. I'm just trying to think bass. I mean, I can't have Paul Simonon because I've already got Joe Strummer. Who do I love on bass? It's hard when you get put on the spot.
Yeah.
All I can think of is Flea.
Okay. Flea's on bass.
That's the only one I can think of.
Very weird sounding band.
It's going to sound probably crap, actually, to be honest. Who plays bass? Don't know, whatever. Stick Flea on there, why not?
Well, talking about Stiv Bators, I was literally just watching a documentary about Michael Monroe that's not out yet. And there's some amazing punk bands that never really saw the light of day the way they should have. And do you have like a top 5 most underrated punk bands of all time?
I mean, John would be the person to ask about that because he seems to know every punk band.
I've seen him.
He's shown me so many bands that I'm just like, I never ever heard of this.
Well, we talked about the Lords of New Church. I don't think enough people know who the Lords of New Church is.
Don't know who that is, to be honest with you.
Stiv Bators.
Oh, is it?
That's his band.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought it was Dead Boys.
And Dead Boys, too. Yeah.
I'm not the...
Yeah.
I'm not... I don't know all these bands.
There could be any bands that you think are underappreciated or overlooked.
I really like... I don't know how you pronounce it. Is it Teen Generate? I think they're from Japan. I feel like they're kind of widely known-ish, but perhaps not to...
Not enough.
No, I really like that album. Is it Get Action, I think it's called? What was the other band? I really like that Canadian band, Vile Tones. I thought they were really cool. Again, I feel like people know them, but for your really obscure bands, like I said, John knows them all. There was a band that John showed me. No, he didn't show me this one. It was one that I found the other day, and I can't remember the name of it. Because he's, like the KBD compilation stuff, like some of the bands and some of the songs on those things. I can't think of any of them right now. But he's shown me so many bands from like some of those that I just would never. The recordings are so like horrible,
Lo-fi,
but so great.
Well, this could be from a long time ago too. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
It could be newer bands or older bands too.
I mean, I mean, again, it's not super unknown, but that band Death I really like.
yeah,
You know that.
yeah, of course.
That record.
They never really made it.
No, and there's that crazy story about
Documentary about them.
Yeah,
too.
about them burying the. In fact, I think it was you, Lam, who showed me that band. Yeah, I don't know. There's you think of any other cool Yeah, but there's loads obviously, but yeah.
Awesome. That's a great list. If we have to talk about, Bobby, your perfect album from start to finish, do you have one that you could just,
I do.
Play it and never, there's no song in there that's like not a 10.
There's probably the Beatles' Abbey Road, to be honest with you. I got into the Beatles late. They weren't one that my parents played. It was like I didn't listen to it. In fact, no one in our band did, I don't think. Maybe, excuse me, I think Sam and George did. But me, Will and John hadn't really listened to them, nor had my brother. Excuse me. And
Is that Magic Mind?
yeah,
That's
I don't know
like
what that is. It's all these bands that I've forgotten coming up from it. But no, I hadn't listened to the Beatles for a long time. I'd always I'd heard Yellow Submarine and stuff, and I thought, I don't really like that much.
Because I always go White Album when it comes to the Beatles. That's my favorite Beatles album.
I mean, do you know, it's hard. I probably think my favorite one's Abbey Road, but Rubber Soul up to, the end is just all brilliant. I don't know if there's a single song that I don't like or love even. But as I was saying, I never really listened to them. And then I was, I had a bit of a phase where I was exercising and going for a jog. I was like, let's stick the Beatles on. Let's give it a proper go. And someone had told me, start with Rubber Soul. So I started with Rubber Soul. And over the next few weeks, it blew my mind.
Yeah.
It was like the first sort of big epiphany I'd had since the kind of punk stuff, and then back in high school when I had Nirvana and all that sort of stuff.
Also, when you think about it, it was 50 plus years ago, and it still sounds so incredible.
It's insane. I mean, they pioneered almost all of the the recording techniques. They recorded Sgt. Pepper on a 4-track, I think, which is something like that. But I remember coming home to my brother. We were living we had a family pub a few years back, and we were living in this haunted, decrepit family pub. It was gross. But I remember coming home, and I said to him, I knocked on his door, I was like, you got to listen to the Beatles. And he was like, really? I was like, no, trust me. And he was like, oh, okay. Didn't think anything of it. I come home a week later from work, and I could hear in his room the Beatles. I opened the door. I'm like, you listen to the Beatles? And he looks at me and he's like, it's fucking amazing. I was like, I know. But now I'm going to have to forever tell people that they're my favourite band. It's about as cliche as it gets.
Because your brother had never listened to the Beatles a lot growing up?
But nor had I. Really? That's what I'm saying. We were late to that.
Yeah.
And I remember the same thing with John, who's got one of the most wide, I don't know about wide, he likes punk stuff.
Yeah.
But he knows basically everything punk you can think of. But I said the same thing. I was like, you got to listen to him. And he was like, oh, really? I was like, just trust me. Same fucking thing. He loves him now. He prefers the earlier stuff, actually. But it's the thing is, it's the songwriting.
Yeah.
The songwriting is absolutely amazing. And that's what I struggle with today. I can't think of any band that comes close, in the rock. I mean, I'm sure there are some, but I can't think of any off the top of my head right now.
No.
That when I listen to their songs, there's loads of bands where I like things about them and I like elements of songs. I mean, I love Radioactivity. I think that whole first album is brilliant. All the songs are amazing. But other than that, Jay Reatard has got some brilliant, rest in peace. He's got some amazing songs. But where are all the songs that people are going to remember forever?
Yeah, I agree with you.
I mean, I don't know. I can't think I don't know where they are. I hear songs that sound good, but they don't sound like they'll still be good in 20 years.
There's a lot of one-hit wonders in the last 20 years.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sure.
I don't want to be negative, it's just, but that's just how I feel about it. I'm always looking, not as hard as I should, but I'm always hoping that I'll at least stumble across a new band that has some songs, or not just some songs, like an album of just fucking hits. And it's just can't find it at the moment.
When we get done, I'll turn you on to a couple of things.
Yeah, please do, because I'm short of a few. I've had to stop listening to the Beatles because I've listened to them too much.
Well, I don't know if it's hard to eat on the road. I mean, you're always at bus stops, and I never found it easy to eat healthy by any means on the road. It was really, really difficult. But there's definitely foods in London that never come here. So do you have a top 5 British foods or British dishes that never really made it to America that you love? Starting with number 5.
Well, I'm the worst. There's a lot of things that I'm bad at. Food. I mean, I literally ate turkey Twizzlers from my parents with mashed potato and spaghetti from the tin until I was well, older than I want to say.
I don't know if we have turkey Twizzlers here. Is that
They
turkey?
got banned
Right.
because they were so bad.
Is that like beef jerky or
Yeah,
something?
it's like, I think it's just mashed up bits of some animals, some depressed animals on a farm somewhere. They mash it up into this thing and then they put some sauce on it.
We don't have that here.
No, but you guys have got a lot of fucked up stuff as well.
Yeah, we do.
You go
Supersized Cokes that are gallons.
You go to the service station and it's like, in England we have a place called M&S, Marks and Spencer's,
Sure.
and they have like really good, like pretty healthy stuff. You know, loads of sort of at least seemingly fresh fruits and vegetables and things like that. And don't be wrong, you don't eat that all the time. Sometimes you do want to eat some crap, but at least you have the option. Here, you don't have the option. The only option you have is a fucking basket of like $1 bananas that have been there for like a week.
Yeah.
And you look at it and thinking, where are the ones that aren't brown?
Right.
And that's it. And I'm thinking, what are you supposed to eat? And nuts. They have like, have some nuts. But like, I mean, I got a pack of pistachios thinking that was a healthy choice. And they were salted. They had their
1,000 calories.
They were like, well, I mean, to be honest, I didn't even look. I should have looked.
Yeah.
But
so you got turkey Twizzlers.
Yeah.
And what else you have that never made it here?
The roast dinner is the I think that's
Sunday roast.
That's the Sunday roast. I mean, I don't know if you don't have that here or not.
No, you can get it at like Tea and Sympathy. There's like a British restaurant.
There is something
here.
you guys don't. Is it not baked beans? These are like
beans on toast. We don't really do here either.
That is it, yeah. Because for us, like when we have like a fried breakfast or whatever, the baked beans is the glue. You take the baked beans away, it's like, what the fuck is going on? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
That really throws away. We go down and you get like, free hotel breakfast. You're like, well, without the beans, there's no point.
Yeah.
You guys do seem to microwave eggs in these hotels as well. Like, obviously the cheap hotels, which we stay at.
Yeah.
But
are there two more things that maybe they never made it here?
What never made it here? What do we have?
I mean, there's
in
so much
England?
of sticky toffee pudding. There's a million things. I mean, they're here in certain restaurants, but they're not. I mean, the pies are right. We don't really have like.
You don't
meat
have
pie.
pies?
I mean, not.
Why don't you tell me what you don't have, and I'll tell you.
There's got to be a couple other things.
Yeah.
That
Well, the thing is, I'm not like I've been pretty bad with food. Like until I was like in my mid-20s, I kind of just ate pasta, tuna, and sweet corn with half a tub of salad cream, and that was basically all I ever ate. And then for lunch, I ate beans and egg on toast with half a tub of ketchup. Absolutely crazy, like the most unhealthy thing you can imagine.
See, no one here really eats salad cream and corn.
Salad cream,
that's not a thing here.
Yeah, salad cream. I mean, it's called salad cream, but it's actually a pretty awful thing to have in a salad. It's basically just, sugar sauce, same as ketchup. But this is the thing I'm finding with food, man, is that sugar, throughout all the addictions, the various sort of addictions I've put my feet in over the years, like sugar's the fucking worst one.
It's the worst.
It is so hard to not eat shit, I mean, I'm pretty good at it now. Like I still have a lot of moments regularly. But for the most part, I'm okay. But that shit is so addictive. It's more addictive than smoking. It's more addictive than, bleep, bleep, all sorts of other stuff.
Yeah.
That is the one. I mean, I was hooked on one of them vapes for a while. That was hard to come off. But sugar, it's daily battle. I don't know.
I think Joe from Idols was telling me about a drink you have that's like, 25% proof or something.
25% what?
Proof. Like, and it's like, the alcohol content is so high that we don't sell it here. I forget the name of it. But
shit.
There's some things you have over there that really haven't made it here. But
yeah, no, I mean, food's not my area. Food and unknown punk bands.
Yeah. Well, you do your own radio punk show on Twitch.
Trying to discover new bands.
What are you talking about?
Just loads of bands that you would have heard of.
Right. The Buzzcocks, the Ramones,
all of that
Pistols,
stuff. Yeah, I recently did a Ramones special because I don't know about you, probably not, but I'd only really listened to like the first album, Leave Home, Rocket to Russia. What other ones are
the
there?
live record.
It's Alive. I mean, that was one of my favorite ones. It still is like probably my favorite one to listen to as on a whole because they're playing like all my favorite songs in one thing. But I wanted to do like a Ramones special, so I went through and listened to everything. I'd never listened to Animal Boy, which has got like, Bonzo goes to, is it Bitburg or Bitsburg? I always forget which one it is, but that song, that's probably my favorite Ramones song now. We're talking about covering that. Like, yeah. So, I mean, that's really fun. It's like, and it's a good way for me to find new bands. I'm trying to do a thing where like I'll play a new band that I've found like that week. I call it like my underdog, the underdogs, and then we have like a Discord where like I post like the Spotify links to the smaller bands that we're playing. And it's just fun because to be honest, I find like, as I was saying earlier, I'm like, I'm not, until I was doing the show, I wasn't as proactive with trying to find so much new bands. Like I would look every now and then and just be disappointed, like because I got Spotify, I'd be like, right, show me some new stuff, and then you just play me stuff. I'm like the punk stuff that we've chosen for you, and it's all like not what I would consider the kind of punk that I like, sort of thing. But I don't know, I sort of, because I like so much stuff, like, you know, I mean, like I love Fleetwood Mac. Like I was playing a bit of that sort of, you know. So I stick like some of the classic stuff in, but just trying to find new bands as well. Like I like the idea of if our band gets bigger, that I can
champion new bands.
Yeah, definitely. Because like, you know, it's, I don't know. There's like, I mean, we've been quite lucky. We've had, you know, you say people that we really look up to have shouted us out and stuff on the internet. I would want to do that as much as I possibly could if ever I was in that position, because it is so difficult to get off the ground. Like if there's a band who have written some great songs, I want people to hear them. I want to hear them, you know. You want them to grow and keep writing great songs. But yeah, I don't know. I always like the idea of being a radio DJ. It's just that there's so much music to get through.
If you haven't listened to Coral Fang by the Distillers, check out the record. It's my favorite punk record.
I've not listened to much Distillers. I know the band. I've heard bits and bobs.
You'll thank me later.
Is it Brody Dale? Yeah,
Rockstar.
Yeah, no, I've got a few friends who are like obsessed with the Distillers.
It's an incredible record. I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, no, please do. I'm dying for something other than Bad Nerves and Beatles.
Well, I'm excited to come to the show tonight. I'm really excited to see you guys. My favorite new punk band on the planet.
Thank you
Bad
so
Nerves.
much. I appreciate it.
We got to do part 2 next time you're in
Let's
town.
do it.
Sure.
Yeah, we could just talk for hours.
Talk for hours. I mean, this could have been like a 4-hour pocket. We could have talked about bass drum pedals. We decided not to do that.
Drum tech. Welcome to the drum show.
This is only about drumsticks for 2 hours. We don't want to bore the audience. But
hickory. What type of hickory do you like?
and your next record, I'm excited to hear it for sure.
Thanks, man. Yeah, me too. Currently living somewhere in the ether.
Yeah.
It will come out eventually.
We'll do a lot more together, Bobby.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for having us here. We appreciate it so much.
Awesome,
Thank
bro.
you.
Appreciate it.